Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chuckin' Big at the series where we help out small businesses. We want you to shop local. We want you to check out small businesses. And today I'm so stoked to have Chuckin' Big at Messin with Jim. Hello, how's it going, Kayne?
Yeah, good, man. How about you?
Yeah, very well, very well. I know times are a bit crazy right now, and we're all trying to, think outside the box or just do different things or try new places. And right now is the time to, maybe share a bit of your story and the cool story behind the actual trailer. And I know there's a whole thing with that. And then the other part of it of, how did you actually get into this? So let's start off with how long ago was it that you sat there and went, I want to make a customized coffee trailer? And maybe when did that happen?
I can't really pinpoint when. I was working for a cafe supply company, just selling stuff that I wasn't really interested in, like coffee cups and bags and things like that. I remember meeting Caleb through that avenue and being like, hey, Caleb's our coffee roaster from Prodigal. And I'd be like, hey, I'm not sure I can help you with much, but just chatted and kind of hit it off and geeked out about coffee and tea and things. And my background is a little bit in tea. I worked for a tea company for quite a few years. And I knew I wanted to do something involved around that because I wasn't very happy with the job I was doing. I was like, oh, maybe I'll build a coffee van. And I do remember telling Caleb about it and him being like, kind of like, oh, yeah, cool, man. Like, see what happens. And next minute I'm sending him a photo of this like crapped out Caravan that I went and bought. I paid $250 for it from a house like 5 houses across the street from my parents' place. We could literally see it from our front yard. And I walked around there with my dad and just lowballed this guy and scored pretty much a trailer for $250. I was like, cool. I don't know what to do with it. And I just started taking it apart, and the whole thing literally fell down on top of me in my parents' driveway. And I was like, well, I've got a decent trailer. I can just start from here. So I just started building. Yeah.
Insane. And had you come from like any sort of rebuild background, like, sort of like working with metals or any of that sort of stuff, or draftsmanship, or?
Nah, I did like just tons of online research. I do enjoy woodwork and do that as kind of like a hobby. I wouldn't say I'm very good at it, but enough that I can build a few things around the house. I think most of our furniture at home is built by me and whatever. I'm just a kind of person who likes to know how to do things. So I spend a lot of time online just looking at different videos and systems of how people make caravans. And there's a couple of companies out there that essentially do like IKEA caravans. They send them to you like flat packed and you just assemble them. So given that I started from the ground up, I had a good foundation to work from. Metalwork's not my strong suit, so to call in a favor from the old man and take it to somebody he knew, and we extended out the chassis, and then I just kind of went from there. And to be honest, man, it was totally like, it feels like winging it, but it wasn't, because I did so much research and I was so fussy about how it was all going to work. And I think I was winging it in practice when we decided to put it all together. And I'm just stoked that the theory kind of came out as well as the practical side of things and the planning. I'm still like super surprised when I look behind me and it's like on the freeway and it's still there. I just kind of expect it to be like flying off a trailer. End result, like I said, just I'm stoked with it.
No, man, it's an incredible journey, and it's one of those things where I think it's inspiring for a lot of people in this generation where, the research and the knowledge is literally at your hands, and it just comes down to you really going out there and being passionate about it and trying and testing and going through that. Where did Messing with Jim come into that? and sort of the name for it?
Yeah, so my parents call me Jim, and they've never really called me Kayne. We don't really know where it came from, but yeah, kind of weird. They just call me it. And then there's a Jim Croce song called "You Don't Mess Around with Jim," and it's kind of like about this badass gangster that you don't want to mess around with, and some dude comes and messes around with him, and I was like, oh, I kind of like it. It was a toss up for me between that and our slogan, which is hard living, but I was like, that's such a better slogan / motto, kind of our company ethos. We say it in jest whenever we're putting our feet up or enjoying a coffee. Yeah, so they both kind of come from that. I urge you to check out the song if you haven't ever listened to it, because it's a cracker of a song too.
No, definitely. And I think for me in that, I'm hearing a lot about how you are an artist at heart. You know, and everything from the way the trailer looks to the way it was designed to the colors to sort of even, you know, how you dress. And you know, tell me a bit more about the vintage, or sort of that the vibe you're trying to give off with it.
Yeah, I guess like I have a real affinity for anything that's sort of 70s retro. I love that whole cream, brown, and orange type aesthetic. I always we do a lot of op shopping and stuff, and I always gravitate to that sort of cream and brown section of the op shops, and I like to check out all the pottery and things like that. And that's literally what it was inspired by, the old 70s cream and brown pottery. And I was like, I want to build a caravan that looks like that pottery. And for me, as much as, you know, the outside looks like that, it's super important in an environment that I'm happy to be in, and I find aesthetically pleasing, and helps me to relax. And so I set the whole environment up and just went whole hog with it and kind of pulled out all the stops. I'm obviously attracted to that kind of thing, so I just rolled with it, and yeah, it came out looking good.
Oh, it looks stunning. Like, you know, I think every single time I am coming to find where you might be, you know, it's there, and it's so engaging, and it really sets the scene. Like, even when I was coming to get a coffee this morning, I'm like, what white t-shirt do I have? And can I roll up the sleeve and look like Matthew McConaughey from Dazed and Confused? And, you know, it's just got such a cool vibe. And that sort of leads me to, you know, you're a man of many projects, and there is a certain possible beverage down that you've been working on. And I gave it a try, you know, no pun intended, but I gave it a try yesterday, and it was remarkable. And I think I almost had tasting notes of sort of like real wintry gingerbread, and it just made you feel good. Can you talk a bit about your up and coming product, the chai?
Yeah, so obviously, yeah, background in tea, and I'm always looking to keep myself busy, and kind of it was inevitable for us to go towards making our own house chai and things like that. And it was on the cards for me for in a few years' time to put out a chai, and we just kind of half out of necessity with the situation at the moment, and the other half just out of popularity. We were like, all right, it's time to do the chai and start bagging it up. And yeah, we've always made it in-house, and the feedback's been really good. It's kind of hard because chai is such a personal thing, and people like different things about it. You know, there's upwards of like 7 or 8 different spices you can pop in it. And for me, with the Caravan Chai, so the first of the releases for a chai for us, it was about finding a happy medium between like the sweetness of, say, the powdered chais that are out there that are kind of full of sugar and milk powder and stuff, and then also enough spice that those traditional chai drinkers would still enjoy it. So I just kind of wanted a crowd pleaser. I agonized over it for like 3 or 4 weeks, just making batch after batch. hating it, throwing it out, and then got it to a point where I was happy, bulk ordered spices, made up like 3 kilos of it, tried it, and it was awful. And it made me realize that not all spice providers and wholesalers are equal. And I went right back to the drawing board of trying each of our 7 different spices individually and making sure that the quality was right up there until I got it to a point where I was back to that original recipe that I was really happy with. We've since put it out, and obviously I've always stuck with that recipe in the van, and the feedback's sort of pretty unanimous. It's a nice crowd pleaser. It's easy to drink. Lots of notes of like, people often talk about Christmas and they talk about it. We use fennel and lots of ginger and things like that. So, but there's a few different things in there as well. So where people might get like plum pudding, we use chopped up dates in there. And I use maple syrup as opposed to honey, which is a bit more of a neutral sweetness. And yeah, honey can be such a distinctive flavor. So it's nice to have something that's just kind of neutral and standard.
Well, and maple syrup's like a little bit of my blood, being Canadian, like it's just pretty much a bit of it. And I think the one thing, if you're not super in tune with maple syrups, being from Canada, there's so many different colors of it, so many different flavors of it. And in itself, it's got its own sort of tasting notes, depending on where it's from and what tree and all that sort of stuff. So, it's pretty magnificent that way. So I think the big thing for me out of this, and it's come up in the past 2 conversations. One, if you haven't checked out Chuck and Big with Brooke the Mayo, please check it out. But clay and pottery has come up, and it's funny how Brooke talked about how the human body is like clay, and she can mold it and move it, and you mentioned pottery and sort of how you can make it and shift it and that sort of aspect. And what is it that you really enjoy about either using your hands or putting your mind body together that really just brings life to every project you do?
Yeah, I guess it's a feeling of accomplishment and like having control over something and then starting with something that's nothing and essentially making it into something and being proud of that end result. We feel that way with the way I built the van. I feel that way with doing woodwork and building things, but I also feel that way when it comes to putting tea or coffee in people's cups. I take roasted coffee beans and milk and I turn it into whatever it is that you're after. And inevitably I'm proud of what my end result is. And that sense of accomplishment is great and super rewarding. And if you do anything like that with passion and integrity, you end up with a good result, and it shows in what you're giving to people and then their feedback from that as well. So for me, it's just I guess that sense of accomplishment and achievement. Yeah.
No, that's and I think that's so important with the current times we're in is where can we really find those sense of accomplishments, that feeling of pride, especially when the situation might not seem so bright, and we make it as bright as we possibly can. So thank you so much for your time this morning, Kayne. And if you guys check out Messing with Jim, stay tuned for the Caravan Chai. It should be pretty epic. And please keep checking out local small businesses that we're going to interview. Please check out the Brooke the Mayo, the Messing with Jim, and at Messing with Jim on Instagram, and Messing with Jim at Facebook. Kayne, thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me, and you take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Cheers, bro.